Genesis chapter 37, verse 12. Everyone there? All right. The text says this. Then Joseph went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel, thus Joseph's father, said to Joseph, are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you there. And so he said to him, here am I. Then he said to him, please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flocks, and bring back a word to me. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went unto Shechem. Verse 15. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what are you seeking? So he said, this is Joseph speaking, said, I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding the flocks. Verse 17, and the man said, they have departed from here. For I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers, and he found them in Dothan. Verse 18, now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. They said one another, look, this dreamer is coming. Do I got any dreamers in here that's coming? They said, look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit. We shall say a wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what shall become of his dreams. We shall see what will become of his dreams. Verse 21, but Reuben heard it. And he delivered him out of their hand and said, let us not kill him. And when Reuben said to them, shed no blood, but cast him into the pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay hands on him, that he may deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to their father. And so it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped him of his tunic of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into the pit. The pit was empty, and no water was in it. Why don't you look at your neighbor and ask them this question? How did I get here?
How did I get here?
How did I get here? Some of you have been looking over your life and asking this question silently. Normally when you lay your head down on your pillow. How did I get here? Some of you parents been looking at things that's going on in your kids' life and asking the question, how did I get here? Some of you have been looking at your finances and looking at how things have changed, and you've been asking the question, how did I get here? Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you, God, that this is your word. For your word shall not return back unto them void, but God, it shall accomplish everything that it was sent. You have sent a tailored word for every situation that is in this room. And I thank you, God, that they shall hear from you to increase in the area of their faith, for we shall walk by faith and not by sight. And I thank you, God, that this word shall fall upon good grounds. The enemy shall not steal it. For God, we thank you that off this word, they're going to be able to produce 30, 60, and 100-fold. I thank you, God, that you love us and you're going to help us understand how did we get here. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated.
Amen.
What are you doing? What? Boom. He has been thrown in the pit. A dark hole. Out of nowhere. He's in this pit that he had no idea this day he would be there. For his day started off cool, calm, and collected, trying to follow the words and be obedient to his father. He's in the pit, and I cannot help but think, being in the pit and falling and realizing your brother's throwing you there, you have to first ask the question, how did I get here? And the first thing that comes to mind when I ask this question, how did I get here, is his father told him to go to his brothers in what? Shechem, and help them feed flock. But being obedient to his father has now got him thrown in the pit. It is this tension that we normally deal with our lives as Christians, because being obedient to God sometimes can put you in places that you end up in pit-like situations.
Come on now.
And it's one thing for you to do wrong yourself and end up in the pit. But how do you handle being in the pit when I didn't do anything to get here? Have you ever asked yourself the question, I don't know how I got here? I know how I got here. I know they put their hands on me and grabbed me and put me here. But I still don't know how I got here. It is the pain of pit situations that start dealing with what we call problems, or what I call pit problems. And here's what a pit problem, because some of you may be saying, preacher, I ain't in no pit. I just got problems. But pits or problems are that you know how you got in, but you don't know how you're going to get out. Have you ever faced a pit problem that you know how you got in, but now you're sitting here wondering, I don't know how in the world I'm going to get out? And Joseph is now, this man who was full of dreams, this man who was full of love, he's now in a place where it's dark. There's no water. And the reality is, by being no water there, if I stay here any longer, I may not survive. I came to talk to some folks that's been saying to themselves here, if I stay here any longer, I don't know how I may make it. If I stay in this mentality any longer, I don't know where I may come out of. If my heart stays like this any longer, I don't know how I may make it, because what I need to survive, you can survive without food, but you can't survive without water.
Come on now.
And everything of his whole system of survival, he has now been thrown into this pit. And now there's no water. And he has to ask himself this question: how did I get here? Here's one of the issues that we don't deal with the pit. The pit has a level of pain like no other. Because there are technically two types of pains here when you deal with problems. You deal with physical pain, because when they threw him in the pit, he had to fall. And it is possible that sometimes when you get in situations that it ends up hurting you physically, or hurting your health. And I do understand that, but technically Joseph is a young boy, and young people normally can take falls better than adults. That's not technically the pain that I have to really agonize with. The physical pain is great, but the physical pain he can heal from. It is the emotional pain that begs me in this text.
Come on now.
Because now he knew that his brothers hated him. But what do you do when the one you love puts you in the hands of the one that's hates you? Because now I have to question if my father really knew me to put me around the folks that hated me. Because it was his father that told him, go with your brothers. It was the father that told him to go with his enemies. It is oftentimes God that can put you in the place where your enemies are there, and he says he loves you, but how could you let this happen to me? And now my enemies have gotten hold of me and put me in the pit. And it is the emotional toll that how could you let this happen? Little children deal with this every day, with the agony of their parents when they face things that no one else knows, because you can be a young child in the pit. The things can happen to you, and you ask the question, how could you let this happen? It's this emotional turmoil that Joseph is now in, agonizing in his mind. I'm here, and I got to deal with this pain. Not only does he have to deal with this pain, Joseph now has to deal with, this is a one incident. There are some incidents in your life that are totally different than anything else.
All right.
He knew they hated him, and he had incidents of dealing with his brother in the field. But this one incident changes the whole game.
Yes, it does.
It's one thing when you hate me and I deal with it and I can go home and so on and so forth. But now this one incident of you putting your hands on me and throwing me now low. I'm a dreamer. I should go up. But now you have caught my dreams and thrown me into a low place that I don't know how to get out of. It's some incidents in your life that will question you whether you will even fulfill your dreams. This one incident is a contradictory, because he should be going up, when he has found himself going down. What incidents have happened in your life that you've known I should be going up, but this one game changer, this one activity took you to a lower place than you've ever been before? Joseph is in a pit, full of dreams, full of hope. He's in a pit, and he has to ask the question. To him, it is so quick. He doesn't see them plotting. All of a sudden, he's walking, and out of nowhere, they catch him and they throw him into this pit. But I understand that in the pit, if you can, in your pit places, if you can understand you only got in the pit because you had a dream.
All right.
Then I'm here to tell you that your dreams, I told you to bring your dreams back. It is very possible that when you go after your dreams and you have dreams, that you can end up in pit places. And if you don't understand that, you will agonize over the certain incidents that have happened in your life. There are certain incidents that stand out like no other that take you to lower places. Not only has he been in the pain, it's now this incident. And now he has to deal with threats. Because his brother had already threatened him before he got there. He didn't hear it. They said, let us throw him in the pit and kill him. And can you imagine now, if you're in the pit and you realize you're in the pit and you hear the folks that's on top of you talking about we should have killed you? He has pain in his body, but now the pain is going between his ears. Because it's one thing to be in a low place, but here it can get worse when you look and see it can't get no worse than this. And some of you are agonizing over things that are in your life that you're saying to yourself, I'm in the pit. It can't get any worse. But you hear something that makes it possible that it can get worse than where I am right now. And he has to deal with threats while he's in the pit. This is the equivalent of bullying. It's one thing for you to put your hands on me. But it's another thing now, after you have put your hands on me, your words technically mean so much more. And it's possible, agonizing. Could I not make it out of this? And I guarantee you, some of you on the side of my voice, you've been in pits, but you've been asking the question, it can't get no worse than this. And to hear the ones who already have done something that you didn't think they could do, standing over you talking, saying we should kill him. They have stripped him of his coat. So not only has he done this, he has lost his whole identity per se. But I'll go further on next week to tell you that sometimes you may lose the item, but the item needs to get inside your heart. That sometimes you may end up losing your exterior, but it should be your exterior should never be your defining moments. It shall be your interior that your defining moments. Because when you have dreams, sometimes you risk losing it all. Sometimes they'll steal it from you. Sometimes they'll take it. Sometimes you lose it. They stripped him of his coat and they throw him into a pit. Come with me. This pit is dark. This pit is lonely. This pit is agonizing. This pit is depressing. The pit is at a place, watch this. I can't look technically in the lower because it's dark that I can't see it. I can only feel my lower. Sometimes you go in life that people, you can't even look how low you are. You can only feel how low you are. You can't, not only this, I can't even deal with my what? My exteriors. Because I am now confined. If I want to move to the left, I can't move but so far. If I want to move to the right, I can't move but so far. I'm stuck in a place I don't want to be in. But it's something about this that the pit teaches us something about dreamers. And get this down in your notes. When you're in pits, there's only one way that you can see. When you're in a pit, which way can you see? You can only see up. But the problem with seeing up when you're in the pit is that your enemies are technically on top of you. And the problem, some don't want to look up because when they look up, they only see their enemies. But you have to learn to be like David says, I'll look unto the what? The hills, which come in my help, which means when I'm in my pit, I got to learn to look past my enemies and look forward to where my help is coming from. And I want to tell you that there's something that happens when you get in pit places. It doesn't say it in the text, but when you look up, to look up is technically symbolic of prayer. You can't tell me that when you get in pits, you don't learn how to pray. It's not what we call a fixed up great prayer that you show and broadcast to be on TV, or something that you broadcast to show that you're more spiritual than someone else. There's something about pit prayer that somebody sound like this. Lord, help me. I don't know how I'm going to get out, but Lord, can you make a way? And some of you, that's been your prayer. Just, Lord, help me. I don't know how I got here, but only you can help me out. And you got to learn how to pray and look past the ones that put you there.
All right.
If you can't look up because of who put you there is above you, you will miss your opportunity of growth. You will miss your opportunity of maturity. And this is what shocks me in the text. I ain't got a long time. It's already 10 o'clock. What shocks me in the text, he's been in the pit, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Ishmaelites show up.
All right.
And they show up from Gilead. Oh God, I feel like preaching now. Some of you don't get it. The Ishmaelites, their name means God hears.
All right.
God hears. So when the Ishmaelite shows up, they're really showing up saying that God hears because that's their name. But they come from Gilead. Gilead means it's a witness. It is a testimony. So what happens, Joseph has been in the pit, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Ishmaelites showing up that says God hears, and it's a testimony. And I'm here to tell you, the old saints used to say, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. I learned in this text that God may not show up. He may send somebody else, but the very fact that they show up is a testimony that God hears. Is there anybody in this place that got a testimony that even while you was in the pit, God allowed somebody, someone, something to show up just to give me a testimony that God heard me? The enemies did not know. These brothers did not know. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Ishmaelite shows up from Gilead. God heard me. I'm trying to tell you, when you're in pit places, God still hears you. Don't let nobody get that out of your mind, baby. God still hears you. Joseph proves it in the text that God hears you. And this is what gets me. When the Ishmaelite shows up, Judah start talking. Oh, God. Come here. Judah names means praise.
All right.
Oh, God. Judah started talking, and he says, look, we was plotting to kill him. Let's not kill him. Let's just sell him to the Ishmaelites to be a slave. Now, come in now. It's the praise that switched the situation.
All right.
Judah was his brother, but his name meant praise. And when Judah said something, the whole situation turned. Come here. While you in the pit, you got to learn how to pray. And while you're in the pit, you got to learn how to praise. Because praising can switch your situation. And some of you in the pit right now, and I'm going to give you 15 seconds to give God some praise that he can switch your situation around. Your brother may not be Judah, but God has given you Judah, and you can use your praise to turn your pit situation. No, come on, no. See, when you've been in the pit and you see somebody else coming, oh, y'all don't know why. Y'all don't know what. Here's what happens. The one who ended up putting him in the pit was the one who ended up helping them get out the pit. And I'm trying to tell you, Judah said, no, let's not kill him. He had to end up throwing a rope down in the pit. And I'm trying to tell you, the more you praise, the more your rope comes down. Is there anybody that need God to pull them up out of some stuff? Is there anybody that need help that realize that God will allow your enemies to pull you up out of places that they put you in? No, God, I feel you. God, I feel you. Judah, the praise shift the situation. That now, he sees a rope. The rope that changes, because it tells me I went down, but I'm coming back up. I only came this morning to tell you, to ask you the question, do you see a rope? Some of you still been crying, and And some of you think you're still in the same situation. But when you start praying, don't worry about what your enemies are saying. Just see and look out. Can I get the rope? Because watch this. Here's constantly. Here's the tension in the text. Will I allow my lack of trust to not make them see the rope? Sit down. I don't want to go too fast. Listen. They have plotted to kill him.
Yes.
So technically, if they was going to kill him, they're not going to get out in the pit themselves.
All right.
Technically, if he's been here and they're going to kill him, the rope could be a sign that it's all over. But you got to have your dream so deep inside of you that when it get in a death-like moment, that the very time you question the rope,
Yes. That's it.
if the one who hurt you through the rope, would you really touch it?
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
If the one who put you in there gave you the rope, would you really hit it? Would you really grab hold to it? This is where your dream comes in. And this is where your prayer life, and this is where your praise come in. That you trust God and not them.
Wow, that's it right there. Wow, that's it right there.
I'm trying to tell you, the Lord is going to allow some of the same folks that hurt you and mistreat you to be a blessing to you. But you got to learn not to trust them. But you got to trust God. The rope came from the same place that came through the enemies. And God, I'm trying to tell you that sometimes God will change the very people that decide to hurt you. Now, here's the reality of it. Some of you may be saying, well, preacher, it wasn't always better because they only took them out to put them in slavery and to make some more money off of them. But here's what you got to realize. I'm not in the pit no more.
All right. That's it.
Some of you, your problem with getting delivered from pit places is that you want everything to be okay.
All right. Help us, Lord.
But I'm trying to tell you that sometimes when you come out of pits, it ain't all the way better. I'm just not there.
All right.
And I'm trying to tell you that some of you, God has sent you a rope, but you're saying my rope don't look no much better than where I am. Yes, it does, baby. There's no water in the pit.
All right.
And if you stay here, you die. Oh.
All right. Wow.
Some of you, your pit may be your finances and you don't have no job. And God is sending you a rope, but it's not the rope that you want. And you say, I don't want to work at McDonald's. Baby, it's better than where you are right now. And can you see that this is a temporary alignment of switching my situation? It has been painful. If I stay in the pit, I won't make it. But if I get out the pit, I don't know where I may end up. But it's a sign that something's going to happen. Is there anybody that can praise God that they don't know what's going to happen, that they know that what? Something's going to happen. Why don't you touch two people and tell them something's going to happen? Something's going to happen. He didn't send the rope for nothing. He didn't send the rope for nothing. He didn't change their mind for nothing. Something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know something's going to happen. So I hold on to it. Is there anybody? Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Come on now, because something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You got to tell yourself something's going to happen. You got to come out because something's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Touch your neighbor and tell them, come out now. Something's going to happen. 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 I didn't say you didn't have to cry. I didn't say you didn't hurt. I didn't say that you was lonely. I didn't say you're not dehydrated. But something's going. Good God Almighty, I don't know who I'm talking to. You just got to get that in your mind that something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. He comes out of the pit. I'm done. He comes out of the pit. And he's now sold in slavery. He was now in Dothan. He had a testimony that God heard his prayers through the Ishmaelites and being coming from Gilead. It was a testimony that God hears. But now, he is now in the territory. Watch this. That he's going now to Egypt to be a slave. To go to Egypt to be a slave doesn't look so good. But technically, we now know the end of the story. He went into Egypt as a slave, but he would end up being the ruler of Egypt. And here's what I'm trying to tell you. When you look at the pit backwards, versus how you got into it, you realize the pit was everything for your purpose. And there are three things I need for you to get. Because some of you have been over the pain and the incident and the threats of the pit that you had looked back and saw, I needed to be there to get here. Here's three things that the pit gives you for your dreams. Because some of you got to get this, because I told you to get your dreams together. Some of you may face pits, but you will focus on the pain, the incident, and the threat. But you got to look at it. The pit gives you now, it positions you. It positioned him to be in a place that the Ishmaelites and the Egyptians could find him. Some of you, it was your pit that positioned you to trust God like you trust God now.
All right. Come on.
If you had not been in the pit, I guarantee you, you wouldn't be where you are now. And sometimes your pit places can be your greatest blessings. Not only that, it did not only position him, it illuminated. Here's what illumination means. Illumination means to make your eyes be able to see.
All right. All right.
I don't have time to hit this, but at the end of Genesis, where Joseph sees his brothers, after all this has transpired, he told them, you did this for evil.
Yes,
But God meant it for my good. His pit gave him an opportunity to see that you was trying to hold me back, but you end up helping me. Is there anybody that's had some enemies that tried to hold them back, end up helping them? Ooh. And you got to be illuminated that the very thing that the enemy is trying to do may end up helping you.
Yes.
They tried to keep me from being a leader, but it ended up helping me. It ended up changing me. And you got to illuminate, have the illumination in the pit, in the dark places, that God is still here.
Yes.
Okay, the last thing, it was transitioning him. It was transitioning him.
Wow.
Watch this. When you have a dream, you don't know where your dream is going to end up.
You sure know that.
God knew that he would be the leader of Egypt.
Yes, he did.
But Joseph didn't know.
All right, he sure did.
But him being in the pit transitioned him into the place where he would technically lead.
Yes.
Could it be that your circumstances and your situations right now will transition you to put you right in place? Oh, God, come here.
Yes.
You have to realize God is sovereign.
Yes, he is.
Meaning God is in control of everything.
Yes.
And many times God will use your life circumstances and your pains to be the vehicle to get you to where he wants you to be.
Yes.
Oh, okay, come here. Our problem is we only like to ride in cabs and limos.
All right.
But God will use whatever to get you to the place that you need to be. Come here, Wizard of Oz. I told you I've been working on the show. Sometimes God will use tornadoes to put you in different situations that tear up everything around you, that will put you in the place to develop the gifts inside of you, so that when you go to your purpose, you will have the things that you need.
Yes.
But some of us keep telling God, I don't want to ride like this.
All right.
How foolish of you is when you don't have a ride, you tell somebody, I can't ride like this. When you realize your dream is important enough, you'll get on whatever ride God wants.
Yes, sir.
And you got to get out of this mentality of I only ride this kind of way. Because you may very well miss the ride that God has for you and your purpose, because it's not comfortable like you want it.
All right.
I'll close with this. This is financial stuff to help you. You cannot spend big in your growth stage like you will in your future.
Work on it.
I had to learn this, y'all, and I'm just confessing to myself. I had to learn, just because I have the taste for it, don't mean that I have to enjoy it now, because it's not that season.
All right.
Oh, let's come here. I love fine dining. But fine dining can run you $150 to $300 a couple. Now, it's cool if you can do that if you're a multi-millionaire, if you're making at least $7,000 to $15,000 a month. That is the equivalent of we going to McDonald's. But if you're only making $400 a week and you spending $300, you got the taste for it, but it's not that season.
Yes, God.
Some of you got the taste for victory, but you just got to realize it's not that season. And what you got to realize, because I've been exposed to it, I deal with this now, but I know I won't be here always. This is just my vehicle to get me to where I'm going. And many times God will expose you to the promised land while you're still in slavery. Which is a sure enough sign that I won't be in the wilderness all my days. So you got to learn like Joseph. I'm sorry, not Joseph. You got to learn like Moses, and you got to learn like Joshua to take the grapes from the promised land, take it back to where you eat manna, taste it, but realize I got to do what I got to do now to get there then. Some of you right now don't like you now.
All right. Hey, come on now.
I'm done. I'm really done. I'm at 10:16. I don't know what I did with my clicker. There's one last slide that I want you to get. A lot of people, when you make it to where God is getting you in your dreams, they will ask you, how did you get here? When at times in your life you've been asking yourself, how did I get here? People all the time ask you how you get on top of the mountain.
All right.
They never ask you how you got in your low places.
All right.
But I'm here to tell you, you can only stand here in your dream when you have stood there.
Yes.
You show me anybody that's standing on some mountains, I'll show you some people that stood in pits. And it's the grounding out of this moment that gives you the strength to stand in that moment. I was telling some, I'm going to go further. I'll say it. One gentleman spoke over my life, and he was telling me what we're going through with the transition of the church. And he was saying God is transitioning people. And I saw it. Saw things going down and saw numbers. I saw things in attendance. I saw things with SEO marketing. I saw all of these things until I realized, he said, and when you start praying for it, that's when God will start sending it. But I didn't know what to pray for until I got to this text. I started saying, God, send me some pit folks. Because pit folks learn how to deal with seasons that you're growing in. Because they realize you're not there yet. Pit folks don't complain about you have to do this and eat that and do this in that season, because they're not looking for this, realizing you got to go through that to get this. And I'm trying to tell you that some of you, God is allowing you to be pit people, that you've been to some of your low places. And you'll learn how to maintain. Come in pursuit of happiness. He was in the pit before he got on Wall Street. And sometimes it is your pit experiences that gives you a confidence. It is your pit experience. You ever notice this? People that whine all the time ain't been in pits.
All right.
Because when you've been in the pit, you start realizing this ain't as bad as what you say it is. And that's when I start praying, God, send me pit folks that have been in worse situations, that they have an endurance to see God grow in their life and not complain and whine because they realize I've been in lower places than this.
All right.
Can you ride without air conditioning in the car? If you ain't had no car, you'll start complaining. But if you had to get on the bus, you'll learn how to roll down the windows and turn on the heat and send the vents outside the car and ride anyway. Why? Because you've been in the pit. You get what I'm saying? Send me some pit folks. I don't eat this. When you ain't had nothing to eat, you'll learn how to eat it if you may not like it. Give me some pit folks.
Yes, sir.
In certain seasons in your life, you don't need folks who ain't been in low places.
All right.
Because they'll complain and agonize, and they'll complain about how it's not being, not realizing you done been in lower places than that. Who am I helping? Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. I know I'm a little over time. But how many of you know you needed to hear this word?
Amen.
Some of you, over the last couple of years, the Lord has allowed your families to go through pits. And you thought it was God allowing you to go down. But it's really God positioning you and give you the strength to go higher and build a level of endurance to you that you will be able to maintain. When you go up, and I'm finishing with this, When you go up, you technically have more problems than you did when you didn't have none.
Yes, you do, Pastor.
Too much is given, much is required. And sometimes you don't have the tenacity to fight through what is required when you ain't been in the pits just to fight to get out.
All right.
It's the same fight that helps them get out that we'll talk about next week, that helps them get through Potiphar and helps them get through the prison and to help them get to this promise. You got to be here next week because we got to show you how he got to Egypt. But even when he got to his promised land, he had to be transitioned by their processes of life's ups and downs. Leadership, growth, being able to have character. Even though they stripped his coats,
That's it right there.
his coats was of many colors, he still had some on the inside of him even though he lost it. Some of you, if you lose some stuff, you'll lose your mind.
All right.
But you got to get it in your... He went in the pit with a lot of stuff, but he came out the pit losing some stuff he had before. He technically lost his family. He had to leave. But you got to learn how to deal with losses to get what God has gained to you in your life. Grab your neighbor by the hand. We're going to pray. Some of them may not tell you right now, but they're in a pit situation. And they've been sending text messages and phone calls from pit places. You've been asking them they're okay, and they're saying, yeah, when in reality they're in the hole. You ever talk to somebody and they've been in the hole and you hear the echo and then you ask them, are you okay? And they be like, yeah. Some of you've been echoing yourself because you've been in holes. Father, I'm praying that every person that we're touching, that God, regardless of the pit places that they've been in, that God, you want to give them a rope to get out. You have sent them here this morning to get out of that low place. And God, I thank you that you love them enough. Some of them need to be saved. Some of them need to get out of that low place and see your salvation and see your blood and see what you did on the cross. And they got to come out of that pit. If that person wants to come out of that pit this morning, squeeze your neighbor's hand and walk down to the altar with them. If that person wants to come out of this pit this morning, squeeze their hand and walk down to the altar with them. Come meet me at the altar. When you're coming out of pits, you can't stay where you are today because you got to come out of the pit. Come, squeeze their hand and walk with them. Squeeze their hand and walk with them. They said, I'm coming out of pit places. Squeeze their hand and walk with them.